To Evolve Through God. I have on the show today a 20-year-old. And when you all hear this episode, you're like, how is this child 20 years old? Her name is Andelina Storm, and she has just written a book about going through life with anxiety, starting at the age of 9, OCD, ADHD, and depression. She's 20 years old, and she has worked through all of that in her life. She gives you some tips on how to identify things in your own kids, where to start if you see those things, and then also how she leaned on her faith through her journey. And I'm going to tell you what, this girl, she is going to be quite a powerhouse as she continues to grow and develop. So you're going to hear her first here. And I hope you stay for the whole episode so that you can hear all about the tips that she gives parents to help their kids who may be battling suicide and depression. So without further ado, I am going to move over to Andelina Storm. Welcome to Evolve Through God. My name is Angela Goodman, and I am beyond excited. I'm going to say that because I always say excited. That's like my thing. I'm beyond excited to bring you who happens to be my absolute youngest guest on Evolve Through God. She is a beautiful soul that I met doing a podcast recording with Sean Martin and the Real Mentors podcast. And so you'll be able to check her out on there also. But when I met her in person, her light is so bright that I couldn't help but to get her on to Evolve Through God. So I'm going to introduce her and we're going to get going. So Andelina Grossi, thank you so much for coming today and welcome.
Thank you so much for all the kind words too. I couldn't be more excited about today.
Yeah, I am. I'll tell you, so you are my youngest guest so far on the show. And what really hit me when we met in person is just this, I think it's almost just like this kindness that you emanate, and you have like such innocence to you because you are young, but I know you've been through a lot. So you've got a book coming out. I'm sure we're going to talk about that. It's already out. Actually, it's not coming out. So she's got a book out. I'm sure we're going to talk about that. But I want to hear about how your relationship with God started.
Yes. So thankfully, I feel like it's such a blessing. I've known God since I was 9. And the way I encountered God for the first time probably wouldn't be something people would think I'd be excited about because it was through a lot of hardship, but I wouldn't change anything because it did bring me to God. So what a blessing. But growing up, I had a very mixed household. Like my mom was not a believer, and my dad grew up Italian Catholic, but was kind of stepping away from the Catholic branch. So he wasn't practicing at the time when I was young. And I watched my grandpa pass away in hospice, and I developed really bad OCD and anxiety from it. And I was super scared that every time I fell asleep at night, someone I loved was going to die. And I fell into this hole of uncertainty, which is
Wow.
so scary, right?
And how old are you when your grandfather passed?
So I was 9.
Okay, so it was all at the same time. Okay.
Yes. Yes. So
Okay.
that's why it ends up being a good story, even though it was a lot of hardship. So I was 9 and I needed something sustainable. I needed something that was going to make me feel better because no earthly thing was going to do that. I
Mhm.
was looking around. It's my parents, as great as they were, they could be the one that passed away. They could be the one taken out of my life. So I'm what could I have that's forever? What could I have that would give me this certainty and this comfort and this calm. So I remember my dad believed in this guy named Jesus. So I was cool, I'm gonna pray to him too. Who is this?
Yeah.
And I would start praying almost out of fear at first. It started as one of my OCD obsessions. It was if I prayed, then nothing bad would happen, right? Obsession compulsion. But
Mhm.
as I grew up and I ended up transferring schools from a public school to a private Catholic school, and I got to learn about Jesus in a religion class, and the more I got to know him and grow in my faith, the more I realized that I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to show up in prayer every day like I should, but I don't have to because he's going to love me and he's going to be there for me no matter what. Didn't matter how far I drifted from him, what I went through. He was the rock I needed to stand on, and he was the rock that was going to get me through the hard times.
So at 9 years old, Did you have a conscious awareness of the fact that you had OCD, or you were just doing the things that you now know were
So
OCD?
yeah, so it's like a bit of both because my parents like knew immediately because that wasn't the only way it was showing up. I couldn't sleep in bed by myself. I
Mm.
was like super scared that if I wasn't sleeping in bed with my mom, that someone would
Oh,
pass away. So
yeah,
I would stay up all night waiting for my parents to go to bed so that they would let me go sleep in bed with my mom. And I'd also walk up and down the stairs 7 times, and I'd have to go to the bathroom 3 times, and then I'd have to, like, it was the whole like step on a crack, break your mom's back type thing. It was like
yeah,
really, and it showed up everywhere. I developed a saying that now my whole family like it turned into an endearing saying, but it was be safe, healthy, happy, always, and careful. And if I didn't say that as the last thing out of my mouth when someone left, they were going to die. Like that was just the way my brain was working. So as much
wow.
as I knew I had it, because my parents put me in therapy, they were like, okay,
Hmm.
obviously you're really struggling. You have really bad anxiety over the unknown. So I knew I had it, but I didn't know it showed up in my faith until way later in life.
Okay.
Like I didn't understand that I wasn't supposed to go to God in fear. Like I didn't understand that part at
Right,
first.
right. So at the age of 9, when you develop this, when your grandfather passes, was there ever kind of any indications before you were 9 that you had tendencies to OCD?
So my parents always called me like a worry wart. Like
Okay.
I would just always worry about everything. Like my grandpa, he started like going through the process of like dying kind of when I was in second grade. So I was like really little. He had to get a heart transplant and then he
Oh,
got
wow.
cancer and then he got a different kind of cancer and then he got an unknown skin disease from the Vietnam War. So it was just a lot of stress like watching someone like almost pass away, but then
Hmm.
beat it and then almost die again and then beat it. So my entire life I had like a little bit of anxiety, I'd worry, I'd be like scared if like my parents weren't home, but it didn't go into like I couldn't go to sleepovers or I couldn't sleep by myself until he passed away and that's when we like realized I had OCD.
Okay. Okay. So thank you for sharing that too. And I think there are so many parents out there too. This conversation is so important because there are so many parents out there that recognize that their children are going through these, but aren't sure how to actually handle the
Mhm.
situation. So it's such an important conversation to have. So as you start to show the tendencies and your parents decide they're going to put you into therapy, what was that process like for you?
So I personally did not have the greatest experience with my first therapist.
Hmm.
I ended up going to therapy in college and like loved it, but
Hmm.
at first it was just I had OCD, but we didn't know I had it yet. They just like kind of thought I was grieving weird. Like they just like, oh, she must be grieving her grandpa, so we're gonna put her into like grief counseling. So
Okay.
originally it was grief counseling, which did a lot of harm because then she's like handing me a book that's like, I feel like it's my fault. And she's like, you probably feel like it's your grandpa's fault that like he died. And I was like, well, I didn't, but like now I do. Like
Yeah.
it didn't at
Yeah.
first, like now I kind of
Yeah.
do. So I think the way parents approach it is important. And I think my parents did the best they could. It's their first time living too. Like they had
Yeah.
no idea what to
Yeah.
do with
Yeah.
like a little 9-year-old that was like freaking out all the time. Like they didn't know what to do with me and they tried their best. But that's why I think it's important to talk about it because if my parents would have gotten a heads up on how to deal with it at the time, they probably would have done a little bit of a better job or at least known which direction to go in. So I would just recommend really understanding what your kid's going through first before you place them somewhere or try treating it because if you end up treating for like the wrong thing, it could do a little more harm than good.
Yeah, I think that's great. So, do you have any words of wisdom for parents who maybe their kids don't want to necessarily open up to them about what it is they're going through?
Yeah, I would just say let them know you're there when they're ready for it.
Hmm.
My parents have always done a really good job sitting me and my siblings down and telling us that no matter what you go through, no matter what happens, we're never going to be mad at you. We're always going to love you through it and we'll always work out. Like it'll always work out. So even when we did things where we were kind of like scared to tell my parents or like we're a little ashamed, like we knew, even if they were upset at first, they were still a safe place to go to. And that's worked wonders for me and my siblings because we knew that if we were lost and we were at the point where we had to talk about it, mom and dad were going to love us no matter what. So just like voicing that no matter what your kid does, you're never going to stop loving them and you're never going to like push them away. You're always going to be there as like security for them.
So wise. You're so wise. Tell everybody how old you are.
I'm 20.
Oh, 20. You're 20. You're so wise. You're way wise beyond your years, my dear. Way
Thank you.
wise. Yes. Okay, so back to so you find Jesus, you start to have this conversation. Talk to us about what your talk to us about what that has looked like for you. Like how have you made the connections? How often do you talk to Jesus and God? Like when do you lean on them? Like what does that look like for you?
So, like middle school was when I like learned who Jesus like really was, and he wasn't just like someone I like randomly prayed to. And then in high school was my first like religious retreat experience. So before that, I would just like pray at night and like kind of call it a day. But when I went to this like religious experience, it was the first time I felt like overwhelming weight from the Lord. And it was my junior year of high school. It's called like Kairos, which means like time with
Yeah.
God. And
Yep.
they do it every year, right? Like my high school did it every year. We went to this retreat. And I remember it was my turn to be prayed over. And I felt this like weight just lifted off me and I felt light and I just broke out into tears because I didn't notice that I wore my anxiety every day. Like I didn't wear like realize that I had a weighted vest on all the time, like metaphorically, until it took it away and all of a sudden I was really calm and peaceful and I was like, "Oh my goodness, like this is like the craziest thing ever." Like, do you guys feel heavy all the time? And everyone looked at me like I was crazy. They're like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, "Guys, I feel so light." And they're like, okay, like what are you talking about? So that was the first time I like really felt God. I was like, wow, like if there wasn't proof he was real before, like there is now, because all I've had, like I've always felt like my anxiety was like my cross from the Lord. Like I always felt
Mhm.
like we all have the thorn in our side, like in Second Corinthians, Paul talks about to keep us humble. And I always thought my anxiety was that for me. So having him lift it off me just for like a little bit, I was like, wow, like this is the coolest thing in the entire world. Like you're real. And I'm like, no matter what happens, no matter what dark season I go through, I'm always going to worship you. Which was funny because then in college, I went through a really dry season in my faith and I couldn't feel God at all. And it was like around the same time my friend died by suicide, and I was really depressed. And I was like, okay, like where
Mhm.
did the Jesus I know go? Like,
Mhm.
why aren't you here? Why can't I hear you? Like, this is so scary. Like, what happened? And it was through that season of spiritual drought that I established my everyday non-negotiables with God. And when I decided that every single day I had to make the effort to have a relationship with God, even if I was going through a dry season.
What
So that was,
what was the
oh, sorry.
bottom? What was the bottom for you?
So the bottom for me was the beginning of my sophomore year of college. It was a year ago, a little over a year ago now. And I was at the point where I was laying, like I live with my best friend, and I was laying in the floor in her room, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like I don't know how to like live anymore. Like I feel like awful all the time. Like I just felt drained and tired. And I felt like I was constantly pouring into other people and I was never getting poured into myself. And I just felt empty. Like I
Mm.
felt like nothing mattered. And I didn't know how to deal with that because I'd grown up with anxiety. So it's like, ooh, put the weighted vest on. But when it
Yeah.
came to depression, I was like, this is different. Like I don't know how to navigate this. I don't know how to deal with that. And then my friend took his life. And all of my friend group was now thinking that that's an option. So
Mhm.
they're all like, oh, well, I don't know what to do now because if I'm really depressed, like, does that mean it doesn't get better? So then I'm trying to like tell other people, like, no, like, you're good. Like, don't make that decision. Like, God's not done with you. But at the same time, like, I didn't believe that myself. Like, I didn't believe that God wasn't done with me. I'm like, I just don't really know what to do right now.
Mhm.
And, but I knew that I was like aware enough to know that if I made that decision, I was going to hurt more people than the pain I was going to relieve in myself.
Yeah.
I knew that everyone around me was going to do the like have the exact same reaction, if not worse, that they just did with our friend that made that decision. So I was like, I can't make this decision. So then I'm like praying to God, and then it's like now I don't feel God. So it's like, where did God go? But at the same time, which is really cool about God, is that at the same time I wasn't feeling him at all. The first time I opened my Bible after my friend died, it was Psalm, and I think it's like Psalm 88 or it's like 180 something. And it says like you've taken from me my closest friend. like my closest friend now is darkness. And I was like, okay, I may
Mm.
not be able to feel you, but like I know you're still there and I know I'm gonna get through this season. Like I know
Yeah.
eventually we're gonna get through it. And that was around the same time my dad told me to write a book because he's like, Lena, you're going through so much. Your friends are going through so much. Like, you know what you need to do. And I'm like, yeah, but I can't feel God, so I don't know yet. Like, I don't know where God is, and he's not
Mhm.
telling me to do this.
Mhm.
But God used that season of my life, I think, because I want to help believers and non-believers understand that life is worth living and that God's not done with them. And I think I had to go through that season of spiritual dryness to understand what it feels like to be depressed as a non-believer. Because
Yeah.
if I have to understand what people with no hope feel like. So if I was like, oh, well, I
Yeah.
mean, God's so good, and they're like, I don't know God, then like I
Well,
wouldn't
you're
relate to them.
yeah, and you're most equipped to help the person you used to be. So if you
Hmm.
don't go through that and you don't experience that, then the people who are in that moment, right, you don't have the capabilities to be able to help them in the way you're meant to. So absolutely he
100%.
utilized you for that. And he couldn't have picked anybody wiser, nor anyone more well-spoken for the age that you are. So you're laying in the floor, you're in your roommate's room, you are at bottom. What do you say to her? Anything?
I like told her that I didn't think I could do this anymore and that I didn't think I should be alone.
And what
I
did she
told her
say?
she was like crying, and she's looking at me and
Yeah.
she's like, okay, well then you're not gonna be alone. You can sleep in here with me. Like you can stay with me tonight.
Oh.
So she like stayed with me and like watched me until
Mhm.
like I was like at a place where I felt like I could go be in my room and go to sleep and be alone. And then she's the best ever. She's like the closest thing to heaven I have on earth. Like she's
Mm.
the next day there's like flowers in my room and she's like, I don't even
Oh.
care about you. Like I'm here if you need anything.
Oh.
Um, but what really hit me from her, like one of the deepest conversations we ever had, it was right after our friend passed away, and she was like way closer to him than I was. Like she was like best friends with him. I was just friends with him because she was friends with him. And she said to me, she's like, I can't sleep because I can't stop thinking about the fact that it could have been you. And
No.
I was like, oh, like that like hit because it's like oh like she's grieving me and I'm still here. Like
Yeah.
she's worried. Like I'm keeping her up at night. Like I'm
Mhm.
scaring her because she's like oh like I keep thinking like you could have made that decision too. And that's when I knew it's like I can't make that decision because there's too many people that it would hurt. And also like God isn't done with me. Like he's has so much for me in store and this is just a
Yeah.
season. And I like started reading Ecclesiastes and it's like there's a season for everything. And
That's
I'm like,
right.
okay,
That's
like
right. It's all
just got to
temporary.
get through this one. Like, got to get through
Mm.
this season. But that all, like, those really low moments led me to knowing that my morning routine is the most important thing to me. And if I'm not opening my Bible the first thing in the morning, my day is going to look a whole lot different than the days I just like try to go throughout my day without talking to God at all.
So what is your morning routine?
So I wake up and I try to set 15 minutes of my day that has to be spent like in my Bible. And right now I'm rereading the New Testament because I feel like that's like something that was like really placed on my heart going into the new year was just like read the New Testament like one verse or like one chapter a day and like reflect on it and like do that for 270 days. So I'm right now I'm like reading the New Testament. I try to spend 15 minutes in it every morning. So like reading it and then dissecting it and then looking up what certain things mean and like making sure I really have a full concept and understanding of it.
Mhm.
And also in the mornings, I'm only allowed to listen to like worship music. It's like you can listen to whatever you want to later. Right now, you are starting your day calm and like relaxed. And I always make sure I take a shower in the morning, even if I'm like about to just like go to the gym, because when you have like really bad anxiety, like a hot shower is like the quickest way to just like decompress and like feel better. And I
Mhm.
make sure I eat every morning because obviously for women, cortisol like really spikes and like not balancing those hormones early in the morning, like cortisol is just going to make you more anxious. So I
Girl,
make
you
sure.
know all the things. You know all the things. Your life is going to be easy breezy. You know all the things long before you should know them.
Yes, and I'm super like blessed for it too. The
Mhm.
amount of like pain I like experienced at a young age, I think it was all so worth it because at the end of the day, there's already been so many people that when they ask me for advice, I actually know what to say to them. Like I'm
Yeah.
not giving them or
Yeah.
steering them in the wrong direction. So I'm like super grateful for all the pain and everything that it took to lead me right here.
Do you have any bouts with anxiety anymore?
Yes. So, um, That's actually something I find like really funny is like everyone now will like ask me, they're like, oh, so like do you just like feel great now? And it's like, no, like I struggle every day. I have to wake up and make the decision every morning that I don't have to live with anxiety. Anxiety has to live with me. That I don't have to like live with these things that I have, that like they have to live with me. And I was on a podcast with Dr. Alicia White, who's amazing, and she actually gave me that way of thinking it because like I was doing that, but I didn't like have a way to like word it. So
Hmm.
she actually gave me the advice that I don't live with these things, they live with me. And every morning I wake up and it's like, okay, is today going to be, am I going to give today to God or am I going to give today to my anxiety and worries? And it's like, you have to give it to God. Like, obviously, there's a right
Yeah.
decision here.
Yeah.
But no, I still really struggle. I still struggle with depression, anxiety, OCD, like all the things. I just have better coping mechanisms now, and I have ways to calm myself down sooner than I used to. Like, I used to go like days without fixing anything, and now it's like, okay, like, where was the trigger at? What upset you? Where
Hmm.
do we need to go? Like sometimes it's I need to read my Bible and I need to spend time with God, and other times it's like you need to just not think about anything. Like
Yeah.
go turn a show on, like go shower,
Yeah.
go take a
Yeah.
nap. Like
Yeah.
just like being able to like understand myself enough to know that there's a right and wrong way to handle it based on the day. Like there's not a win every single day. There's like a different win for each day.
Right. Right. So have you sat in prayer and asked Jesus to remove your anxiety?
I have I've never really asked for it to be taken away as a whole.
Hmm.
I've asked for like moments, and
Hmm.
so like sometimes, most of the time, he'll fix it in the moment, and then it comes back. But I've always just like, and I mean, I probably should, it'd be really cool if he did take it away. But I've really always thought about it like it's my mental struggles have always been the way I've helped people the most. Like even in high school, like I would have panic attacks in the hallway. So then when someone else was like anxious, they'd come to me and be like, how do you deal with anxiety? Like I'm feeling
Yeah.
like this for the
Yeah.
first time.
Yeah.
So I've
Yeah.
always seen it as like the thorn in the side that keeps me humble, but it also keeps me as someone that can help other people. And
Yeah.
all I want to do is help other people and like bring them to God and help them understand that life is like so much bigger than the season we're currently in.
Yeah.
So I mean, the depression, I like did 100% prayed for it to get taken away, and now it like comes more like it's more seasons. It's like it'll go away for a long period of time because that's when I don't really know how to deal with
Yeah.
all that great.
Yeah.
But anxiety, I've never really asked for it to be taken away.
Well, I'll say this, once that is removed, there will be something else. And so you have the anxiety, the depression is there, but not as frequent. So there will be even more another layer. So don't be afraid to ask for those layers to get removed because that's another group of people you can help if and when something else happens that you then have to work through. I know in my own life, I help people with cash flow and money. That's what I do for a job, essentially, and I help small business owners to be successful in that way. And I've had every single layer of financial trouble that you could ever imagine. And every time I get through one, I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm good. I'm good to go. I've got all these new tools to help people. And then God says, oh, just kidding. Here's one more you haven't lived through yet. Right. But now I'm in a place where I can say, okay, I have all these tools in my toolbox. I have all these people I can help. And then when I sit down with someone who's in a really complex situation, they say, I've got this problem and that problem and this problem and that problem and that problem. And I'm like, oh, been there for all of those. Let me help you out right now. So don't be afraid to ask for it to be totally gone because you've been given the tools to handle it. And now it's about getting something else that will come along that you get the tools to help handle too.
No, amen. That's really good
Yeah.
advice.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to take
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you got a lot of years on this planet, girl. You
Yes.
got a long way to go and a big job ahead of you for
Mhm.
sure. Yeah. Yeah. So what other things have you done to to really help you? Your parents were there at a good space. You said you're still doing therapy now because you had done it earlier, but now you see that to be better. What are your plans for once you get done with school? What are you going to do?
So, yeah, therapy I did like last year. Now it's like more kind of like spontaneous. Like I'll go like once in a while, but I got like the coping mechanisms I really think like work and that like help me get through the day to day. But after college, so I graduate a year early, so I'll graduate this spring. which I'm super excited about. Like, praise God. I was not someone that loved college. I loved being home and my
Mm-hmm.
parents, my dog, and all
Mm-hmm.
the stuff. But I have developed a really good Christian community here at Michigan State, which I recommend to everyone because there's nothing like being in a room with people that genuinely like love you the way Jesus does. Like
Mm-hmm.
it fills you up and then some. It's phenomenal. But after school, I'm planning on going to grad school and I want to get my clinical mental health master's, so to become a
Okay.
therapist. And
Mm-hmm.
then I want to get my doctorate in children's development because I think the Lord leads us where we were hurt most. And I
Mm-hmm.
think I was hurt most as a kid because I didn't understand what was going on and no one really knew how to help me the way I needed to be helped. So
Mm-hmm.
I want to make sure that I help little kids in the ways that I wasn't helped when I was a kid.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Wow, so good. And every time I hear somebody say, I don't know about this youth of today, I'm like, oh my gosh, you people have no idea. Just don't talk to. You just don't talk to somebody who's 20. Go talk to the kids out there. They're amazing. You're amazing. Um, I'm just writing a couple of things down here because I love your story so much. So, what is the title of your book? I think we know what's inspired by. What's the title? Tell us a little bit about it.
It's Sanity in the Storm.
Mm.
So my middle name is Storm, and I like my parents accidentally gave me the perfect marketing for everything. Now everything's just Storm. But it's Sanity in the Storm. It's faith, healing, and hope for the anxious soul. So I
Mm.
break down the big five things I've gone through, which are like grief, anxiety, depression, OCD, and ADHD, because I've been diagnosed with all of those things and
Yeah.
experienced them. And I've learned really good ways to cope with them. I'm like a psychology student, so I learned coping mechanisms that work through my studies, through my editor, who's a neuroscientist. She's great. Dr. Lee's so smart. And through school and or therapy. I don't remember which one I said first, but through
Yeah.
therapy, school, and Dr. Lee. So there's psychological coping mechanisms that really work. It's very faith-based, so every chapter starts with a Bible verse, and every chapter has a breakdown of passages in the Bible that hit on each one and how to get through it by relying on Jesus. But I wanted it to have like the perfect toolkit, like you were saying earlier. I call it my
Yeah.
toolkit because you need multiple different ways to get through things, and I think it's the perfect blend of it all together. It's something I wish I had when I was in my lowest moments. It was the advice I wanted. It was the Bible verses organized exactly how I would have wanted them if I was going through depression. It was like for the first time, it's like, oh, just go to chapter 4, and it's like all these verses about, and it's
I
like,
love
okay.
it.
So that's a little bit about the book. It's my personal testimony too. So each chapter, I wanted to break it down in a very vulnerable sense, how I felt, because I wanted people to know that I may not know exactly what they're going through, but this is how I felt. So they feel that relatability and they
Hmm.
understand that I'm not just like preaching something I've never felt before. So I thought vulnerability was a very big strength in this book as well.
I love it. I love it. That's so good. So talk to me about what your future looks like. You're going to go get a master's degree. You're going to
Yes.
help children through what you lived through. What else are you going to do? Because I'm sure there's got to be some other things. What are your big dreams that you want to accomplish?
Yeah, so I was just at a faith-based entrepreneurship event in Atlanta, and I was able to promote my book there. So speaking, I want to go into keynote speaking for mental health. I want to be able to go on stage and talk about really vulnerable conversations and how to get through what you're struggling with, because I think the world needs a little bit more vulnerability. I'm also a brand ambassador for Promise to Live, which is a big like suicide prevention organization
Mm-hmm.
that Brandy Vega is the founder of. So I've been speaking at some of their events. I'm like a chapter holder for them. And I've already started like 3 more books. So more books in the future for sure. I have a podcast called Peace in the Storm where I break down a lot of the things in the book in other ways because I know not everyone loves to read, but I
Yep.
still think everyone deserves to hear what's said in the book. So, speaking, mental health advocacy, writing, and
Look at
podcasts.
you. Look at you go. You will have no time to be anxious or depressed.
No, can't hit a moving target. So,
No, God has got you busy, busy to keep you from having any of those things happen.
Hmm.
So amazing. Was there anything else that you would like to share with the listeners today about your story, your journey, your relationship with God?
So, two things. I've mentioned them previously throughout this podcast, but one is God's not done with you. There's so many important things in your life that have yet to come, and so many exciting things, and everything's a season. And two, put a comma in your story instead of a period. You
Mm,
can always figure out a way to get through what you're going through. And if you ever need anything, reach out through any of my social medias. I'd love to be there for you.
I love that so much. I love it. Man, you are so wise. I cannot wait to watch you grow and spread your wings and do all of the things you're going to do. And I know am going to connect you to Matt because the work that you're doing. So he works with students your age on a lot of that. Like, how do you connect yourself so that you don't lose your voice, so that you don't feel anxious, so that you are able to communicate and get your soul and your spirit out there. And I love all of the work you're doing, and I can't imagine how proud of you your parents are. I just can't even imagine that. You are such a big light. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That all means the
Yeah.
world to me.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being on with us today. And if you'd like to tell everybody, how can they find you on social media if they want to follow you and learn more about your journey?
Yes, so it's Andelina like dot storm on like most of my social media platforms. I also have social media called Peace in the Storm, which is for the podcast. And my podcast is on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube.
Love it. I love it. Well, Andelina, thank you so much for being on. I'm excited to release the episode. Listeners, thank you all for joining another episode of Evolve Through God. Please go follow her and watch her grow. And we'll see you on the next episode.